Welcome to the Conversation with the CEO. I am holding a series of conversations with my direct reports, the SVPs or the Senior Vice Presidents of the Medical City here in Maine, with the purpose of them talking about their objectives and key results of their groups, so that the members of their staff can really be clearly directed on what needs to be met and what needs to be done in the entirety of 2022. So I am now going to focus on our Chief Operating Officer, who is in charge of actually by far I think the biggest, because it requires it involves the operations and patient services of the medical city here in Maine, and it involves not only processes, it also involves people, and of course how they impact patient experience. So now I'm talking about productivity and efficiencies, people, ability to provide the kind of service, and the experience of the patients. Let us welcome our Chief Operating Officer, Attorney Martin Samson, who comes with a good experience because he came from an HMO where he was handling actually HR. Other than that, he joined us here as the Chief Legal Counsel, Chief Legal Officer. A good experience in terms of handling all the legal issues involving complaints from customers and suppliers. And now that he is Chief Operating Officer, he handles now a bigger group, and that requires a real clear understanding by his staff of what needs to be done. So let us welcome Attorney Martin Samson. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Gene.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here for the first time having my talks with the CEO. And I'm glad that it's about our operations OKR.
So you can probably just tell us briefly about the extent of the span of control of the operations, and then you can talk about all the other aspects of operations.
Sure. I think I've been very lucky that over time, since taking over operations, I've seen my people grow into roles that really make them very highly reliable and fit for the job that they're currently performing. Some of them still need a little pushing, but most have actually stepped up, and I think those are the bright spots particularly in the last 2 years now since the pandemic was declared.
So can you tell us now exactly when you talk about operations, which is actually day to day, right? It requires facilities, it requires processes, and all these things. Maybe what is the scope of your responsibility?
Well, the scope of coverage for the operations actually begins with the facilities, and with the facilities come the people that are responsible for ensuring that the facility is running 24/7 at nearly 100%. So we have people in admin, we have people in security, we have people in patient safety, and of course equipment, medical equipment, so we have people in biomed. And then we have individuals or departments that comprise the diagnostics. We have imaging, which is composed of all our x-rays, CT scans, MRIs, PET-CT, NUCMED. We have laboratories comprising the 5 different areas. We also have pharmacy. And then we move on to therapeutics, where we have PMR, or physical medicine and rehabilitation. And also we have the sleep lab. Then we move on to admitting, which is responsible for admissions and bed management and everything related to accommodating patients as they come in. Then we have one of our biggest innovation, of course, is the red coats under the CRD. And the red coats, as we know, is a culture building group that we created back in 2019 or 2018 or 19 thereabouts, for which we won an award, an international award. And part of hostel operations has been given to HRD,
Okay.
together with our Red Coats.
Okay. Given to HRD?
Sorry, CRD.
CRD,
Yes.
okay. Now, in terms of, I think you failed to mention, or did you, facilities maintenance?
Yes.
And the safety, no? So that handles as well elevators,
Yes.
space planning.
Space planning.
You maybe you should talk a bit about space planning.
Well, thanks for reminding me. Actually, space planning has been a big part of the work that's consumed our administrative services. Space planning is responsible for ensuring that we provide adequate workspace, patient space, and space for recreation for employees. And essentially, they take charge of ensuring that requirements of projects comply with the need of the end users as well as the patients. So this covers work or projects related to installation or creation and installation of high-value medical equipment, such as the CT scan, which will be started fairly soon, and the cath lab, our third cath lab, which is where
January.
we're making sure that we open it on or before the end of January.
Okay.
We're at 98% completion, which is quite impressive because this is the first time that we are meeting such a big installation on time.
On target.
So on target. So.
Okay, so then, so you talk about well, the people in those areas, no, admin, facilities, safety, and all these other things. It's a huge thing. How many people are you really in charge of?
Overall, for the entire operations, maybe close to about 700 people.
700 people.
Are under my
Okay. Now,
area.
those people, of course, are going to be measured in terms of their productivity.
Yes.
And the productivity can be also measured in terms of efficiencies. So technology comes in.
Correct.
Maybe you can talk about up to what extent are you going to be utilizing technology in your admission processes and your discharge processes, your bed management and all these other things. I think I'm talking about the journey of the patient from the
Yes.
ER to the admitting to the rooms, and then from the room to discharge and going through finance, no, and the billing and all this cashier, and then discharge.
Correct.
Does that cover all the processes?
That's correct. That's actually covered by the OKRs that I'll be
Okay.
presenting.
So can we talk now about your objectives
Sure.
and the key
Sure.
results?
For 2022, when we were going through all our when we were going through our 2021 OKRs, which of course we wanted to build on, we realized that it jived with something that we've all been very familiar with. No? So to make it very easy for everyone to remember, our operations OKR for 2022 will have an acronym of PPE. So we're talking about productivity,
Okay.
people, experience.
Okay.
Not necessarily in that order, but of course all are equally as important.
Yes.
But I'd like to start with experience. Now, experience talks about two types. We want to measure patient experience, and we also want to measure doctor experience. Because I think we have to remember as operations that we service two types of customers. One, of course, and very important, is our patients. We need to understand when the patient's journey begins, how critical touch points are encountered, and what is the outcome. And for this, our first objective is to provide an unforgettable TMC patient experience. Unforgettable, of course, in the positive sense. No? We don't want unforgettable because
Memorable. I
experience.
think basically memorable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the key results, there are 4 key result areas that we wanted to measure here. One is we want to maintain a monthly NPS or Net Promoter Score of equal to or greater than 90%. In the past, we have been measuring this at 85, and so we felt it was about time we increased it to 90%.
90%. Is it achievable?
I believe it will be achievable this year. We want to maintain a monthly top box score of equal to or greater than 85%, and this has always been measured at 80. From way back, we've always measured top box at 80, and so we'd like to push this a little bit to 85%.
And your people understand what a top box score is?
Yes, they do. In fact, this is something for the last, I would say for the last 12 months, this is something that we've been sharing with everyone regularly. We have participated in several surveys, both local and international, that measure patient satisfaction at each touch point: admission, room experience, care experience, discharge experience, even food experience. So these are all constantly monitored monthly. I believe on the first two key result areas alone, that should probably cover 90% of total operational processes. No? And then we'd like to maintain at least 98% compliance to TAT on release of results. Why? Because as hospitals, we think it's important to patients that they get results immediately. So we are moving from being a little doctor focused in terms of our processes to being patient focused. As a patient, what's important to me is I get my results as soon as possible. And so we'd like to build on what we've started.
98% compliance.
98%
You're 2%
compliance.
short of 100%. What is your status now at the moment?
Currently, our diagnostic facilities are doing this at about 96-97%.
Okay.
Year to date, we're about at that rate. So we'd like to push it a little bit more.
Okay.
So this means for every 100 patients that come,
98.
98 of them will get their results within agreed time.
Yeah.
Within agreed turnaround time. But let me just say that the turnaround time is not something we pulled out of thin air.
Yeah.
No?
It has to be achievable.
Turnaround time here was benchmarked against our competitive set. So we do have data on our competitors. And what we've agreed on is better than our competitors' turnaround time. We also want to maintain at least 90% compliance to agreed patient waiting time.
Okay.
We have actually done well in patient waiting time in some areas, but for imaging services, we're still trying to stabilize this. The performance here is roughly about 95, 96, but we want at least 90% compliance on
Martin,
patient waiting time.
these numbers represent the total group of operations, no?
Yes.
But there will be areas where some don't go actually perform below 90%. Some really do very well.
Yes.
No? At this point, you know that these units that are not meeting their targets need to do something that would add to the average. This is average scores, right?
Yes.
Yes. So individual units that maybe let's assume, for instance, one unit in terms of queuing time or patient waiting time or turnaround time is just 90% or 85%. It has an impact overall. But the people in that area, their target would not be 98% or 90%. Their target would probably be better than 85% for their current.
Correct.
So individual units will have their own agreed OKR.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we try to word it this way so that it encompasses everybody's turnaround time and agreed patient waiting time.
So you are committing to me as the CEO those average scores.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now we also wanted to, I don't know if this has been done before, but we also wanted to make sure that our doctors have the same wonderful, memorable, unforgettable experience here at Medical City. So we want to understand that operations, and I suppose everybody else should understand that doctors are a critical component of patient satisfaction. And there is a need to foster an environment that's conducive to sound practice. And so we have created, we have identified 3 key results. for our second objective. Our second objective is to ensure doctors are happy to practice in TMC operationally. We've looked at high-value equipment uptime equal to or greater than 98%. Currently, the metric is at 96, and so we'd like to push this a little bit to about 98%. We'd like to sustain at least 90%, performance on agreed turnaround time in terms of dispensing medication, whether it's stat or non-stat cases, and in terms of releasing results.
And Martin, those can really be measured.
Yes.
I mean on time.
Yes.
Okay.
We already have measurements or metrics for dispensing
Okay.
and release of results.
So that on a monthly basis, if somebody is lagging behind, you know for a fact that something needs to be done, rather than three months later you look back and they were not able to meet it, and then you're too late already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think the very maybe good thing about this is that it's very simple to follow.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's also very simple to track. All right.
Good.
And the third one is the third key result area is that diagnostic result reliability is equal to or greater than 98%. I did some reading on this and a little research, and worldwide, the average for misdiagnosis is actually about 9 to 10%, at least 9 to 10%. And I don't think we're at that level, but we'd like to at least have a reliability metric of about 98%.
We are not at that level. You mean say we're lower than that, or we're better
No,
than that?
I don't think we're at 9 to 10% in terms of misdiagnosis.
Okay,
I
yes,
think we're
okay.
much lower.
And the areas where the diagnosis is so important, other than the interpretation of the imaging, would be the laboratory, the
Correct.
pathology, for instance.
Correct.
And your turnaround time on the delivery would also be important.
Yes.
I understand pathology has challenges there that needs
Yes.
to be in terms of timing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Our second P in PPE is productivity, efficiency, and optimization. Objective number one is to strengthen cost management, and so we'd like to have zero variance monthly on approved OPEX target. Second is we want 100% compliance on monthly PM schedule of all high-value medical equipment. We have had some unexpected expense related to this because the preventive maintenance schedules were never followed.
What's PM?
Preventive maintenance.
Preventive
schedule.
maintenance. Okay.
And it can get quite costly.
Okay.
We also want to reduce inventory costs by 5%. And the fourth one is to reach a 95% accomplishment on all renovation and project timelines.
Okay.
This is the one I was referring to earlier, where build and installation of high-value medical equipment has to start and end on time because we want this equipment to be utilized as soon as possible.
Well, that would be impacted by how you collaborate with the others, like finance, for instance, like the business development group in terms of procurement, and which the capex group that you have.
Correct.
So that should form part of their OKRs as well.
Correct.
So that there is going to be a collaboration. No?
Yes.
Okay.
The second objective is use technology to drive efficiencies, and we have four key result areas here. One is we'd like to improve on our online transaction for booking and release of results, which should be equal to or greater than 30% of monthly ambulatory census. Right now, it's at about 15%, and we want to bump it up to 30%.
Double it.
Doing booking and release of results online will greatly increase efficiencies because people will no longer have to queue, take up space, and our own personnel can do something else now.
And you're collaborating with the IT group for
Yes,
this?
we are.
Yes,
We
okay.
are. We've already started this, but it has not taken off much to our expectation, so we're going to push this this year.
Can you just make sure that this becomes part of the OKR of the IT group as well?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
And then we want to implement Q Mobile for imaging services by end of Q1. This will help declog the waiting area of imaging and allow our patients to wait instead outside in our lovely garden so they can enjoy the sun. We'd also like to implement online book and pay for PMR by end of Q1. And lastly, we want to implement electronic procurement system by Q2 at the latest for TMC Ortigas, and Q4 for the enterprise. And lastly, we want to establish the SSBU for supply chain, and we have identified 5 key result areas here. We're almost done with most of them, like 100% compliance to third-party accreditation for top 100 suppliers of the network. We are about 90% here. Alignment at 80% of enterprise formulary with TMC Ortigas by January 2022.
You started that already, yes.
We are probably at 95% completion.
Fantastic, okay.
And we expect for key result number 3, enterprise negotiation for aligned formularies by January. We've actually identified the formulary, and so
that requires collaboration with the different presidents and different leaders of the enterprise, right?
Correct.
And so making sure that the usual hitches are people are not giving it the sense of urgency that it requires. No?
Correct.
So you have a head start here. So,
we've had about 4 months head start here.
Yes,
I have 2 good people driving this. Waldi from the medical and non-medical side, and Aldrin from the pharmacy side.
Okay.
So, and then 4th is enterprise negotiation for all medical and non-medical supplies, about 500,000.
Okay.
And lastly, this is on financials to generate at least 3% savings, or the equivalent of 65 million for 2022 on total supplies cost.
I like that specific, very, very specific. Okay, so you can easily take a look at it. 65 million savings.
Correct.
That's good. Okay.
I had to check with our financial planning if this was traceable or trackable, and he said they can track this very well.
Okay.
So I'm happy with
That's
that.
good.
The last
Okay,
P of PPE is actually on people.
Okay.
I read this quote that if your own people are not well, your patients will not be well. No? And I think we've been experiencing a lot of challenges retaining people, and that's probably due to a lot of factors: compensation, burnout, fatigue,
And that should
fear.
form part of the OKR of the HR group. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. But I've identified 2 objectives here, and this is based on research that I've done a little bit on. One is I wanted to improve leadership skills. I want to make sure that our managers have a deep bench in their departments. And I have identified 3 key result areas here. I'm very happy about this because first one is have one communication exercise every quarter for business managers and direct reports.
One of my frustrations, right? People cannot communicate. Yeah.
We actually started this before the pandemic, and I was surprised to hear that people actually liked it and wanted another go at it. So we're reinstituting this.
Yeah. Okay.
Another one I discovered is to have one coffee huddle with AMs from one department every month. No managers, just the AMs and probably direct reports of AMs.
Okay.
And the third is to implement a feedback tool for department leaders with their direct reports by Q1. We're already doing this, but at my level, and I wanted to bring this to that level.
Those are improvements of leadership skills from here to here. But you need to have something that would measure that. A little more objective in terms of measurement, because you can say, well, we've had this communication and we are a little better than before, but it would be nice to have some targets that are really numbered.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think the impact of this will be measurable by HR, because I took a look at their 2021 OKRs, and they're actually measuring this in terms of resignations, tardiness, leaves, etc. And PAR performance appraisal scoring, particularly
you have your exercise one every quarter. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then objective number 2 is increase team resiliency, and this actually touches on retention. I've put together 3 key result areas. One is develop an appreciation program with each department by Q1. In some of the readings I've done, statistics say about 75% of people who leave is because they don't feel appreciated by the group or the superiors they work for. And so we'd like to develop an appreciation program within each department.
Yeah.
Again, another thing that I discovered is that when you delegate individuals, specifically high potential talents, who will be responsible for each departmental KRA, that will actually foster engagement and accountability,
Okay.
and will lead to better performance and engagement. And third key result areas, we want to launch finally the Pharma, RadTech, and MedTech Specialization Program within the year.
Yeah.
We've been trying to do this for the last 2 years, but it's been
Leadership
quite-
skills, Martin, and team resiliency, you need to really make sure that there is consistency and collaboration with the HR.
Correct.
Because it should have the same impact, or it should complement one another.
Correct.
Now, one other point that I'd like to be very, very clear here, that when it talks about operations and patient experience, as the patient goes through the hospital, all the services, the managers in the institutes are part of it. So
Yes.
while we have a matrix structure where the director actually also is making sure that everything is speak and span, right? The managers of those institutes where patients actually go through should be part of operations as well. Just make sure of that.
Yes, we will make sure of that, because the survey does not measure whether they went to an institute or a departmental
Yeah,
clinic.
it should
just
not.
measure.
Yeah.
It just measures patient experience at a particular
Yes.
point when they receive a service. So touch point lang.
Yes,
so I think
right.
that's going to be
well,
very
because
good.
it's going to be the same, because there's been a lot of back and forth about this, no? In the institute, there are admin, there are doctors, so there is a purely medical when it comes to OKRs for the medical programs.
Right.
There will be OKRs purely for operations, how efficiencies, productivity, and patient experience. And as far as the business development part of it, there will also be, in terms of customer development, there will also be marketing and HR as well.
Yes.
So I just want to make it clear, because it has been a back and forth thing that kinds of silos everything. So I just want to clear that 2022 that we are a matrix organization, and operations should assume making sure that the managers of the institutes are part and parcel of. They are not siloed. Okay.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure of that.
Absolutely.
That's a commitment.
That's a commitment.
Okay. Next. Are you done?
Yes.
Oh,
That's it.
Okay, so it's easy, right?
I actually had fun doing this together with my team, and I was I almost overdid it until I
Yeah.
said this is not the only activities that will be measured, but these are the OKRs for operations. There will be individual, departmental, and individual
Yeah.
KPIs and
Those things that you gave me are actually the total.
Yes.
And those are your commitment to me as
Yes.
the president, no? And that should be simplified now down to the level of the different units of your
Correct.
operations.
Correct.
So with that, I think everyone should already know that the objectives and key results in terms of measurements of our performance is really quite easy when they are measurable, and there is a good study in terms of how it was before and how it is now, and how it should be as we progress in our institutional development. With that, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you, Gene, for
And
having me.
looking forward to 2022.
Me too.
Okay.